Avenue in Peoria. We're in the neighborhood just to the north, and what happened was a male individual came out this morning, again at about 4:30, and he was there loading up his car at one of the houses here, and he was just getting ready to go to work. As he was loading up his car, individuals came up to him and pointed a flashlight and shined it into his face. He initially made statements that he thought that it was one of his friends just messing around with him early in the morning, at which time he kind of shoved the flashlight out of his face. This male victim then realized that the flashlight that he shoved out of his face was not in fact a flashlight. It was a light that was attached to a handgun that was pointed in his eyes and toward his face. So at that point he wasn't sure what was going on. He was kind of confused, as I think we all would be. And he noticed that there were several individuals there near his driveway, and they're all wearing, full clothing and masks covering their face, type like head type masks. He then got into a physical altercation with a couple of them, and some more information came out that at that time another part of the group, it was 3 to 4 individuals, went into the house while he was outside and got into a physical altercation with a couple of them. Ultimately, while he was fighting near the driveway front yard of the house, he began to run away to a neighbor's house to try to get away from the attack, at which time he heard a shot or a loud bang go off, and he realized he had been shot in the leg. So he hid near a neighbor's house to try to make sure that nothing else happened. And in the meantime, while this was taking place out in the front yard, the individuals who went inside found a female victim who was asleep. They woke her up. They were kind of yelling at her, and they forced her into another room where they kind of held her there, and they started ransacking the house. As you can see behind me, the detectives showed up. They began to assume and take over the investigation. At this time, they're still looking into items that were stolen, motive for why these individuals did it. According to the male victim, at this time, he has no idea who would have targeted him or why this would have happened to him at his residence. But we're still looking into that and trying to kind of dig in further and see what happened. So at this time, the individual who was shot in the leg, the male victim, has gone to the local hospital. He has since been treated and released. The female victim who was inside the house didn't sustain any injuries.
Just the timing of it all in the early morning seemed like they kind of knew what they were doing, maybe casing the place ahead of time, or maybe knew him even though he doesn't seem to know them.
Yeah, his claims of maybe not knowing anybody, that maybe he hasn't thought of it yet or just not sure. They obviously may have had a case in the place. They knew his schedule, that he comes out early in the morning, does that type of thing, so that's very possible.
Have there been any other instances of this similar thing happening in the city of Glendale that maybe would help you guys connect investigations?
At this time, not that I'm aware of, and I don't know of any that I can recall of past few months at least. So that's where we're trying to kind of scratch our brains and figure out, who this may be, so that we can start kind of following those leads.
Any sort of video evidence that might aid your efforts?
Not that I was told by the detectives. They did canvass the area this morning and spoke to all the neighbors and kind of got some possible witness statements, but I don't think anybody had much. There wasn't much movement out in this specific area at that time. We'll be checking cameras in the area as well, just to see if they may have caught anything that looked suspicious or might give us a good lead.
Can we confirm how many suspects again? You said some of them were outside.
Yeah, so from what we know is about 3 to 4. So a couple of them, I'm assuming 2 or so stayed outside. A couple of them went inside at the same time. Ultimately, when the shot had been fired outside, I forgot to mention that is what spooked the individuals inside and which helped them, caused them to flee out. They weren't sure what was going on. They heard that gunshot is what it seems like, and then they fled the area in an unknown direction, and we didn't have anything further on them.
It's not likely that this is part of like the South American death groups that have been hitting the dinner time hours.
It doesn't seem like that, no. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's related to anything that we may have heard on the news or recent stories that may be of an organized group by any means. I mean, I'm sure they were organized because they had a plan. It seems as though they had a plan. A couple of them went inside, a couple stayed outside. But other than that we don't have that type of information yet.
Any advice that you can give to folks to avoid this? I know it's tough, but
Yeah.
Is there any advice that's
Especially during those hours. I mean, a lot of people go
Yep.
to work
Yeah.
at that time. They don't expect it. So
Yeah, so, I talked to somebody earlier and was kind of just reminded them, whether you're getting ready to go out in the morning to get to work, whether you're at the shopping mall, you're coming out, you need to try to pay attention to your surroundings. Sometimes we catch ourselves, and we all do it. We're looking down at our phones or not quite paying attention, or we got kids kind of distracting us, or whatever the case may be. But we're making sure, just try to make sure you look around, see if you see anything suspicious. If you don't like it, stay in the house, call the police. You can also get better lighting outside your house. That's something we always recommend. Good lighting or Ring cameras, things like that, a camera type device, Nest, whatever brand you prefer, just kind of so you can monitor your area.
Since the suspects are still on the loose, what message would you have for the neighbors here? Is this an isolated case or?
Yeah, so I think at this time we believe it's an isolated case. They were specifically looking at this house or individual possibly. Whether they knew him or not, again, like I said, we don't know. They may have, but I don't think that they're out doing a string of these necessarily on just random folks.
Do we have a range of age of the victims?
I do not know. Not sure of their ages. They're over the age of probably 21. All of them are over the age of 21.
Can you clarify how many people were in the house? How many victims there were?
So we have 2 total victims, one the male subject who was outside and a female victim who was inside.
Were they married?
No, not married. I don't know what type of specific relationship they had, but they did know each other.
Is there a history of any need for police to be out here at this house?
Not that I was aware of. Yep, haven't heard of any other past calls recently, at least. So I'm not quite sure of the history, but from what I understand, nothing was brought up to me about that.
So just the final, moving forward, if anyone has any clues or anything?
Yeah, if you have any information about this, you can always call the Glendale Police Department, our non-emergency number, or you can call 480-WITNESS, get that information and put that out to them, and they'll get it to us. So, all right. Yeah, thank you. All right.
Mine's easy. I'll just